Yo, what's really good, my people? Kiwami Games here, back at it with another video for you guys. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have one of my favorite trap decks, none other than Traptrix, alright? And I recently just hit the Duelist Cup max level with the deck, so I just wanted to showcase some gameplay. I really enjoy playing this deck. I wish that it could receive more support because I think it's more fun than Labyrinth, but anyways, whatever, let's just jump right into the main deck. So for the Traptrix monsters, we got 3 Murmello. So this is going to be one of your best normal summons in the deck. When he is normal summon, you can add one whole normal trap from your deck to your hand. And then when he is special summon, you can target a spell or trap your opponent controls and you can pop it. And then one thing to know about the Traptrix monsters, if you don't know, is that their effects are not once per turn. So if you're able to special summon him twice in one turn, then he's able to pop 2 times in one turn. Alright, and then we also got 2 Dionea. So Dionea, when she is normal summoned, you can target a Traptrix monster from your graveyard and then you can special summon it. And then when she is special summoned, you're able to get one of your normal trap cards from the graveyard and then you can set it. But then you just got to be careful because it'll get banished if you don't use it on the next turn. So that's one thing just to keep in mind. Okay, then we got your second best normal summon, which is going to be the Mantis. So when she is normal summoned, you can add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, she can also get a set spell or trap card that you control. And then you can add it to your hand and then you can set it back down. So it's a good way to kind of dodge back row removals. But also more importantly, this is a good way to override the Dionea banishment effect. Because if you take the card that you set with Dionea and you add it back to the hand and then you reset it, then it kind of overrides that banishing effect from Dionea. Alright, and then we got 1 Vesiculo. Vesiculo, it can kind of be cut, but sometimes its graveyard effect can come in clutch. But the main effect is that you can send a set trap card that you control to the graveyard and then you can special summon this card from the hand. So when I was running evenly matched in the deck, that's one of the ways that I used to use the first effect, but I mainly use the second effect, where if you control no cards in your spell and trap zone, then you can banish this card from your graveyard, and then you can target a whole trap card in your graveyard, and then you can set it. So this is the one that I kind of use the most. Alright, and then for Pudica, sometimes you run it at 3, but this time around I ran her at 1, mainly because 2 reasons. So the first reason is when she's normal summon, she's going to add you the Garden, which is the field spell. And then her second effect is that when she is special summoned, she can banish a monster that your opponent controls that was special summoned. But the downside to it is that your opponent can special summon one of their banished monsters at the end, at the next standby phase. So sometimes it can kind of hurt you. But what you want to do with the second effect is that most of the time you want to have Pinguicula in the field, because whenever a monster is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, then she's able to attach that monster as material. So therefore your opponent won't have anything to special summon from the banished field. So that's one thing that you got to be careful with Pudica. And then we got 2 Arachnocampa. I mainly use Arachnocampa because she protects your back row. So during the main phase, if you control a Traptrix monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So sometimes I like to do this on my opponent's turn. Sometimes, you know, they think they have a Harpy's Feather Duster and they can just wipe away the field. So sometimes I activate this card during my opponent's turn, and that will protect my back row. But also that's also going to trigger Sarah during their turn as well. So that's one thing that I like to do. And then we got the Garden. So the Garden is the first time each insect or plant monster you control will be destroyed by battle, it is not destroyed. And then you can also banish 1 monster you control, and then you can special summon a Traptrix monster from your hand or graveyard. Sometimes I do this with the Nibiru. If I Nibiru my opponent, sometimes I might banish the Nibiru itself, and then I'll special summon one of my monsters. And then also for the trap hole, I'm running 1 Traptrix trap hole Nightmare. This is whenever a special summon monster activates its effect, you can negate and destroy it. And then I have the Floodgate trap hole. This card right here won me again against Sky Strikers, because you're gonna flip that monster face down and then it stays like that permanently until you attack into it or if they tribute it away. So, you know, against Sky Strikers, them having a monster in the main monster zone shuts down all of their spell cards, and then they can't use it for link material as well. So this card right here won me like a game against Sky Strikers. And then we got 2 Gravedigger's Trap Hole. When your opponent activates a monster effect in the hand or graveyard, you can negate it, and then you can inflict 2000 damage to your opponent. And then we got the Traptrix Holotea. This is pretty much special summon itself onto the field, and then when it's in the graveyard you can banish it, and then you can target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and you can special summon it. So I like to use this card to make my Time Thief Redoer, because the Time Thief Redoer, when he has a trap as material, you can place a card that your opponent controls on top of the deck, so it's like a non-targeting removal. Alright, and then that's kind of pretty much the main deck. Some cards that I was running, experimenting, was the Network Trap Hole. Whenever your opponent special summons a monster from the main deck or graveyard, you can banish it face down. So I thought this would be kind of good against Fiendsmith, because, you know, of all the graveyard shenanigans that they do, they special summon a lot from the graveyard and stuff like that. But it wasn't coming up too often, so that's why I kind of replaced it. And another good card that I actually kind of forgot to test this time around is the Banishing Trap Hole. So when your opponent summons a monster or monsters with 15,000 or less attack, you can banish them face down. So this is really great against, you know, Snake Eyes, for example. If they summon their Poplar, their what is the other one, the normal summon one, I can't think of the name. But, you know, these monsters, they're 1500 or less, so if you're able to banish them face down, they're gone for the game forever. And it's kind of difficult for Snake Eyes to bring those monsters back, because one of the things about the top tier decks nowadays is that they have crazy recursion, right? They're able to just procure so many cards that this is why I was running Evenly Matched, but that's why I got rid of it, because even though I got rid of their field, but all of their follow-up was in the graveyard, so it's like, what the hell, you know? But anyway, so now for the hand traps, I'm running 2 Effect Veilers, 2 Maxis, 2 Ghost Ogre. I was also experimenting Ghost Bell, so Ghost Bell, Ghost Ogre, I feel they're pretty good in this format. 3 Ash Blossoms, and then I have 2 Nibiru's just to help going second, and I have 3 Torrential Tributes. And then I also have 3 Impermanents. Alright, and then for the extra deck, I have an Abyss Dweller just to kind of help shut down graveyard shenanigans. I never really made Abyss Dweller though. Then I have 2 Rafflesias. Then I have 1 Baguska. Baguska, I rarely made Baguska as well. And then I got the big boy, the Time Thief Redoer. I love this card in this deck. And then I got 1 Alamaris, 1 Penguicula, 1 Zeus, 1 Typhon, 3 Sarahs, and we have 1 Calaria, and 1 SP Little Knight, and 1 Adipus. So the game plan is that you really want to control the field, and then on turn 3 or whatever, you want to most likely go into Adipus. This is going to boost all of your Traptrix monsters by 1000 attack, and then you can kind of just go for game. But without further ado, I'm just going to show you guys some replays. I don't know, I think I have maybe about 10 or so replays. This is a climb from like Duelist level 17 or something like that until 20th. But I won't talk much over it, so just enjoy the gameplay. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave it down there. I always reply. I'll answer it as soon as I can. And if you enjoyed the video, then please consider dropping a like and hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and it will help me out immensely. So thank you all so much. Kiwami Games. Peace out.